Hi everyone, and welcome to my podcast, Still Missing. I do apologise for the lateness of this episode. We are still, of course, on the topic of Genette Tate, and this is episode 3, which is called Inconsistencies. Okay, as with a lot of things in life, we are not told the truth, and we are kept from truthful facts. Then conspiracies will grow. It is worth remembering that we are only given a version of the truth. Several versions are typically manufactured, and this leads to further confusion. Okay, let's continue with the episode. At around 2:30 that afternoon, she left her house at Barton Hall Farm on a bicycle via a back lane in the direction of the A3052 Sidmouth to Exeter Road. The evidence stated is that she had picked up 70 newspapers from the bus stop within sight of the White Horse Inn by Nine Oaks Cross. There's just a little bit of confusion there because I see other statements that she was in the car park of the pub, and others saying she was at the bus stop, but what is true we don't know. But anyway, my question is, how could she fit 70 newspapers into a pannier box at the rear of her bicycle? Now, her bicycle was not too dissimilar to the one I had when I was a child. Mine was a Rally 20 with a green tartan back box, and I know from experience that it would be impossible to fit 70 newspapers into this. You can see from the photo I used on this show how this is an impossibility. So the next question is, was she also using one of those large newspaper bags with the thick strap that you slot your arm through and up over your head? If so, there isn't any recorded evidence of such a bag. Just breaking from the format of the show, I had a little eureka moment. Well, it wasn't this week, it was when I wrote the script, which was a few months ago. With the confusion over how Genette was abducted and in which direction she was driven away, I asked myself a question. What if the offender got to the scene via the surrounding fields? Maybe in a Land Rover or a tractor and trailer? I mean, very handy to wrap a body up in tarp and bundle it into a trailer. Who's going to notice these types of vehicles? After all, it is a rural area. I move on now to the two friends who apparently met Genette on the lane, and there is speculation galore here. At around 3 p.m. that afternoon, Genette was on her way back towards her home in a tiny hamlet called Farringdon. There were only a few papers left to deliver, and some customers would have paid her cash for their papers. Another quick question, what became of the money collected on her round? Genette travelled up Withen Lane and stopped at a bridge over a stream. This is situated in a dip, the remotest part of the lane. It was here that she met two friends, both teenage girls that Genette knew from the village. This meeting was witnessed by a mother and her daughter, who also stopped at the bridge. Here's a puzzling thing. It has never been made clear who the mother and daughter were, not even a description. Surely these two were vital witnesses, weren't they? The mother and daughter continued walking away from Aylesbury, and in a statement made, they saw a speeding maroon-coloured car heading for Aylesbury, driven by a man with a dark complexion, seemingly in his late 20s, and with the radio blaring. Excuse the rustle of papers. It's an age thing. Okay, back to the two friends who were called Margaret Heavey and Tracy Pratt. They met Genette at the bridge. Neither of these girls recalled seeing a maroon-coloured car speeding past them. But there were other witnesses to this sighting, although these people were not at the exact spot. The car was seen in and around Aylesbury. The two friends later claimed they were in the lane to spot a potential boyfriend. Okay, I found this a little unusual. They went down this lane to spot a potential boyfriend. Was this a hopeful venture? Or they had arranged to meet a boy? who could have been boyfriend material? If the latter, then who was he? And was he interviewed by the police? Because if he wasn't where the two girls thought he'd be, then there's a chance he'd know what happened to Genette. He could have indeed seen Genette making her way through the lane. How old was he? And did he have a maroon-coloured car? It got me thinking really hard. The girls stated that they hadn't seen a speeding maroon-coloured car driven by a man in his 20s, yet the mother and daughter at the same location saw this vehicle. Now, I'm going to throw a question out there for you to ponder on. Did the two girls decide that they wouldn't include their statement about the speeding car because they both knew the driver? Maybe the potential boyfriend. Genette gave the girls a newspaper to read, casually walking up the lane in no great hurry, reading as they went. Approximately 5 minutes later, they came across Genette's bicycle laying on its side, in the middle of the lane. This means that Genette cycled ahead of them, and they didn't hear a thing. The rear wheel was still spinning. It was near a gate, and around 150 yards outside the village. The location of the bike, I think, is a golden clue. As it was right next to a gate, and a field lay beyond this. Remember what I stated a little earlier? The abduction could have happened from the field. This would also mean it was planned and the assailant knew Genette's routine, or her routine for that afternoon. Another question for you. Why was she delivering newspapers in the afternoon? Surely people would want their papers in the morning. Margaret and Tracy panicked. They climbed the hedges, shouting Genette's name. They had even feared she'd been abducted by aliens. This conclusion they came to, as an extra man had photographed a UFO, and the article was on the front page of the paper they were reading. I also wonder if a customer was going to be without their copy of the news. If Genette had given the girls a paper, this meant she was one short for her round. Wouldn't she? Unknown to the two girls, there was another witness. A farmer was working in his field right next to where the bicycle had been recovered. In his statement to the police, he stated that he saw the two girls, and they were chatting normally. He stated that he didn't see them panicking or hear them shouting Genette's name. Nothing out of the ordinary. After pressure from the police, he changed his testimony to that he couldn't have heard of them because he was too far away. Why pressure the poor man into changing his story? Was his versions of events clouding their vision? So there you have it for another episode, and that is the final one for Genette Tate. I was going to have an episode 4, but the topic of this was quite risky and I could not back it up with any evidence, so therefore I'm going to leave it be. But a brand new episode next time with a brand new missing case. So until then, if you've got any questions or suggestions, please use the email provided. Please stay safe and thank you for listening.